Hey, it's Mackey and Wetmore on the set here of the Touch 'Em All podcast. That's right. Otherwise known as my apartment.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah. Make it sound like it's some deep podcast studio.
And there may or may not be some DVDs in the background behind Derek's shoulder that I'm not entirely proud of. Anyways, the Twins are off to a hot start here. And if you're a shameless plug, the Touch 'Em All podcast, you can find pretty much every Monday morning, Sunday night into Monday morning on 1500ESPN.com. Subscribe on iTunes. It's us blabbering and giving our opinions and thoughts on the Twins' latest happenings.
This week it was 60 minutes. I mean, we couldn't shut up. It just kept going and going and going.
I'm sure many of you, if you can make it past the 20-minute mark without falling asleep, that'd be great. Let us know how far you get. So the Twins are off to a hot start here. What are some of the things that you're buying into right now? Because I think we're all, based on the last 5 years, we're all sort of wait-and-see mode with this team, but what are you sort of optimistic about?
Well, and that's justified. I think for 4 bad seasons in a row, terrible seasons in a row, I think you need to show more than a month, more than 5 weeks of good play to really say, okay, maybe this team's a contender again. I'm not quite ready to go there, but a couple things I'm sure about, and I'm sure you can add a couple onto this too. Trevor Plouffe has really emerged as a rock in this lineup. Torrey Hunter's bat is still there. Say what you want about his fielding. In his age 39 season, Torrey Hunter is still putting charge into the baseball from the right side of the plate. Brian Dozier, you like the performance, especially now as he starts to heat up a little bit. And I think the biggest and maybe most important takeaway in terms of long-term for the Twins, Paul Molitor's thought process seems to just kind of be on that second level. That he, as a player who is renowned for his baseball IQ, his acumen, his intelligence, that has translated, in my opinion, to his managing, and I think that you can point to a lot of different decisions that he's made over the first 5 weeks of the season and say, all right, the Twins got a good one there.
So I've kind of said, I'll start really buying into the Twins as being potentially relevant in August and September if 2 things happen. And there could be a number of things that would lead me to feel this way, but if the lineup keeps producing, and there's no reason at this point to believe that it won't produce at least at a top half of the league level. They were a top 10 offense last year. Torrey Hunter looks like he's going to be fine. We had some questions. Is he going to have the bat speed? He's 39, 40 years old. Those guys drop off. Look at Derek Jeter. But Hunter's been fine. I think they're going to score top 10 runs. So one of 2 things on the pitching end needs to happen for them to be relevant in August or September. The rotation either needs to be better than it has been so far. I don't know. There's so many moving parts here. Will Trevor May keep pitching somewhat well? Kyle Gibson, can he start getting more strikeouts to maybe balance out the inevitable effect of him crashing back to earth on some of the batted balls?
Right.
But the most likely scenario for me, pitching-wise, is building a bullpen bridge from the 6th inning to Glenn Perkins.
Yeah.
They're not there yet. I like that Ryan Presley and Michael Tonkin are being thrust into action here. Now, Tonkin's given up a couple home runs this week, but some guys who can actually throw 95 and get some strikeouts. If they can build a bridge from the 6th inning to Glenn Perkins, the starting pitchers don't need to be lights out. They just need to be somewhat decent with the amount of runs this offense might score this season.
Well, and one of the reasons that I'm not buying into them as contenders just yet, of course, the recent history track record, we talked about the 4 seasons, but it is that pitching. And it is the fact that over the course of this hot stretch, they've been scoring more runs than you can expect them to score, really, over the course of a season. There's going to be times when you just can't score 7 runs a game, which is basically what they've been scoring since they were shut out by Felix Hernandez that Friday night in Seattle. Since then, it's been, 15, now 16 games after Sunday nights, and the Twins were averaging close to 7 runs a game. That's not going to keep up, so I want to see the pitchers really kind of turn the corner, whether it's Phil Hughes, Ricky Nolasco getting on track, Trevor Mays pitched solid, I think, Kyle Gibson continuing his success. You want to see that and the bullpen perform at higher levels before you really start to say, this is a team that we should be talking about at least as a 500 club. I don't think we're there yet.
Real quick, let's touch on a couple minor league names that are making noise for different reasons. Byron Buxton, I think, has passed Miguel Sano on the development ladder here. And that's, Miguel Sano was out all of last season with Tommy John. So it's not as much a knock on him. It's more praise to the last 2 weeks of Byron Buxton, who's been just on fire at AA. So you've got that going on right now. And you also have Aaron Hicks, who got passed over for Eddie Rosario last week. He's on fire still at AAA Rochester. I think we're going to see Hicks at some point in the next month or so. If Byron Buxton keeps hitting the way he is at AA, when do you think we would see him?
Not unrealistic to think if he's hitting the way he is now that you would see him in mid-June. I don't think he keeps this up. I think eventually you're talking about a guy who regresses a little bit, and you'll probably see him, conservatively, I would say September.
Hold on, this low battery thing is making me nervous. I'm going to click this out. There we go. Okay, keep going.
I would say between Sano and Buxton, the difference is their skill sets. I think that you say that he's ahead of him in terms of development. It's just that Sano's tools aren't necessarily going to lend themselves to showing on the surface all the time, whereas Buxton, the hit tool, the speed tool, the hit for average, he's not quite hitting for a ton of power, although triples are nice. A couple of home runs too. The defense, the arm, everything is there that you could see Buxton make an impact on every game. So I think that stuff is going to manifest itself. You'll see it development, but I still think that Sano, his early season, is promising too in the fact that the power department is starting to come around a little bit. You watch both of those guys develop into more complete players. I think you'll see both of them in 2015.
And I'm hovering over the panic button big time with Alex Meyer. Just got destroyed again on Saturday. 7.62 earned run average for Rochester.
Well, and we talked about Meyer at length on this episode of the Touch 'Em All podcast, which you can find on iTunes or SoundCloud or 1500ESPN.com, whatever's easiest. Some definitely big picture existential questions, I think, for the Twins to start answering about Meyer. My suggestion right now is to start entertaining the idea of moving him to the bullpen and seeing if he can just unleash that big fastball and the big hook. I don't think you make that move. I don't think you pull the plug yet. But if I'm the Twins, I'm at least starting that dialogue now with Alex Meyer.
Yeah. And I think I might give him a couple more starts, but obviously you'd like to hope if a guy gets rejected when he's knocking on the door in spring training, when he gets rejected and sent back to the minor leagues, you'd like to see him come out and just be a pro and just, if he's a pitcher,
best guy
mow hitters down.
Yeah.
If he's a hitter, go do what Chris Bryant did for the Cubs. Go do what Denard Span did 5 or 6 years ago for the Twins, and just go make it a no-brainer. And Alex Meyer has done the opposite.
Yeah.
So, you can hear a lot more about all these topics and plenty more on the latest Touch 'Em All episode, which Derek said. This is the third cheap plug for this. On iTunes, 1500ESPN.com, and also SoundCloud.
Yeah. I recommend subscribing because it's easiest. If you go to iTunes, search Touch 'Em All under podcast, hit subscribe. You'll get that sent every single time we record a new episode, which, at least for the foreseeable future during the baseball season, is going to be every Sunday night. So once a week on that podcast.
We've got some chick flicks here. We have to,
We've got our plan for the rest of the night. I don't know
exactly. Pearl Harbor, maybe? It's funny, they rope you in, you think it's a war movie, and it turns into a chick flick about 20 minutes in. It's ridiculous.
Amazing how that works. So thank you for coming to the website. Thank you for watching this video. For the movie lover, Phil Mackey, I'm Derek Wetmore for the Touch 'Em All podcast. Thanks for coming to 1500 ESPN, and we will see you next time. Now, how do we turn this off?
You're going to have to literally go up and actually hit the button up there. Yeah.
This one? You want to do this one right here?